Post-exertional malaise. I can hardly say it, and I'm not even sure it's right. I mean, what a mouthful. But it describes the biggest part of ME, the most problematic. And that is the most difficult to explain. We also call it a crash or a relapse, but both sounds like I either did too much party or I'm using drugs. So I'm sure it's not something that goes on a note from in a doctor's office. And the thing is, it actually can be measured. If a normal person does exercise, they will recover next day and do better again, or same, or even better. A person with ME will dramatically do worse next day or the day after. The problem is the same day, so the original exercise, they will eventually do relatively good. So that's not the point where you can measure for ME. The baseline that you have is low because you have ME, but the biggest problem comes 2 days later. And that's why exercise is so terrible for us. We get so much worse from it, and we eventually don't even recover because we don't make that type of energy in that kind of time and strength. So let's say you have a headache today and you do too much, then you have a migraine tomorrow. And if you still do too much, then you have a brain tumor tomorrow, the day after. And you don't just recover from a brain tumor. It takes a lot of time, rest, chemotherapy, medicine, whatever. And even if that sounds stupid, that's a rather suitable example on how this is. You can get really worse by this type of doing a little bit too much and get from housebound to bedbound. And it's very hard to recover. And this is not about sporting or biking, or that could just be having 2 people visiting your house, or talking an hour on the phone, or being outside with too many sensory overload. So it's very, very limited to what it is, and very difficult to find the fine line because you don't realize it yourself that moment. You need to know in advance that it's gonna be too much. And that's why I constantly, when I garden, I end up with the thought like, oh, I'm doing fine, it's all super. And I sit down and I drink my coffee, and then the day after and the day after that, I'm so terrible, and eventually gonna stay terrible for a week or 2.